Good afternoon or good evening. So, following last video regarding in my speculations on the subject of the appearance of the three sentient species, the cherubs, the titans, and Homo sapiens, I think that more than ever I'm bombarded with many questions, and now I of course understand it. I mean, but you also need to understand something. It is, I mean, my psychology and my knowledge is basically that of Homo sapiens, 39 years old Homo sapiens that, grew up on a pretty educated environment and family and in Israel, and I don't know much. What's special about me is, I guess, is the fact that I see myself as a prophet, but I'm not the first one, and I'm not the first person that claimed that he had revelations. Throughout all the ages, there were many humans that claimed that, and you can believe it or not, but the basic mechanism, as I understand it, is something that can be described. It's not something that is related to my biology or my mechanics, and I've spoken about it a lot in the past and written about it a lot, about divinations and prophecy, and I'm not the first person that actually wrote about it. Many people, not many, but important people in the past, especially people that belong to Christianity and Judaism and Islam, wrote about it, and some of them did it magnificently, and so I'm not that different from you. From my psychology and my knowledge, I actually know very little because I do not belong to any intelligence organization, as opposed to most of my subscribers. Now, I do understand that some of my subscribers belong to weaker intelligence organizations or intelligence agencies that had little knowledge of the Star Wars epic, but the stronger ones, the bigger ones, like the Russians and the British, and certainly the Americans, and of course the Israelis, not because they're so strong, but because they are in the eye of the storm. They know about this, but much of the stuff for decades now. It's not a new issue. It's not a new issue at all. It's also, Star Wars epic already, generated several international scandals. They were all kept silent, of course, but they had very large, very big implications on international intelligence throughout the last couple of decades. And so some of the questions can be answered by your peers, like in the United States and Israel, and if you just go ask them, they can answer better than myself. And other questions I can only give you, my theories and hypotheses, but you need to understand that I approach the issue of the Neros. First of all, it's not the most. Up until now that it's very closely linked to my ability perhaps to actually make money, even though I think I can make money by selling the paintings that I do not relate. They do not depend on the Neros, but on the robots, but at least not directly. But up until now, throughout the last couple of years, I knew about the existence of nanobots in my body, but it wasn't a very important subject. Actually, it was kind of a very minor subject. I spoke about other stuff that were and still much more important, and I only now started to actually gain positive evidence. And I try to deal with it as much as possible, in a scientific way. So I don't want to just raise speculations that have no base at all, and just throw it on your face, and then later say that, oh, oops, it's wrong. Not that I am afraid to admit that I was wrong, and I intentionally, as I said many times during the last 2 months, I intentionally raise many theories, because you don't, when you do science, you always need it's better to have multiple theories and then to discard most of them, if not even all of them, than to work without theories, because then you just gather facts and you have no direction. So it's good to always like put your brain in action and create theories. And yes, I have, as I understand it, like divine help, significant divine help. I couldn't have done it without the help of God. And but it's not but in the same like breath, it's important for me to be able to explain, how I reach my conclusions. Not I can't always do it. By the way, scientists like regular scientists that you find in university, many times they themselves also can, that they, even if they don't claim any like relations to God and to revelations, many times they can't really explain how they reach their conclusions, and it even doesn't really matter, because it's more in science, it's more important that the results are replicable and that your work can be reviewed by your peers. This is much more important than how do you reach your conclusions. And many times they just have the muse or something, or they're wonderful guesses, or and they can't really explain how they reach a conclusion. But it's important that the theories will be supported by evidence, and the evidence will be gathered from experiments, and the experiments should be replicable by other people as well. And these tenets also guide me. And as I said many times, I do not have background in physics or not in science at all, besides computer science, which is very theoretical, and also this is only in the big BSc, Bachelor of Science level, not more than that. But I do whatever I can. Now I cannot do anything because I don't even have my lousy microscope, and I have nothing. I live in a hostel now, but I don't complain, because it's better than being in prison, which is where I was in the last 10 days. And it was horrible because, as I said, it's not the first or second arrest, but it was a difficult one, and because of the people. And so yeah, I gladly share theories with you and hypotheses, but you need to always understand that it's not that I'm like a supreme being that is connected to the neros, in a subconscious channel that I can ask them questions. My psychology and my meanings, my ways to understand reality are identical to humans. And humans were also prophets in the past. Or if I say that I'm a prophet, it doesn't put me in a different situation normally like Homo sapiens, because Homo sapiens as well, who were prophets, men and women in the past. You can, if you choose, you can don't believe it, but many people do, and it's true. And of course, the fact that you are a prophet doesn't make you a walking Wikipedia or a magical box that have answers to all the questions. It's not. You don't have a red phone directly to God that you can ask anything. Doesn't work like that. And I've spoken about it in the past a lot. So, and again, many other people throughout the ages wrote about it. So it's not it's not a new thing. If you choose not to believe it, it's not really. I'm sorry, but I'm not offended. So the answer to TLDR here, the answer to most of your question is I don't know, and I would gladly continue my research, but I'm having a lot of difficulties because I'm under arrest, and all this research was done under arrest. And of course, if I was a free person and if I had money, I don't have even a bank account. I have no penny. And this is great limitations. Of course, if I was a free person and if I live in non-Nazi state like Israel, and if I had money that I would be able to buy even basic laboratory equipment, I'm sure that I will be able to advance greatly in my studies. And as you know, I share everything with my subscribers, my loyal viewers. But right now, most of the questions the answer is that I don't know. And also, some questions are some of the questions are definitely cannot be answered by me, because they it was proven, and I can demonstrated that some of the physical questions in order to actually answer them scientifically, you need to like to really find like to reconstruct much of like physics, like particle physics, and it's something that I cannot do, and maybe even a new scientific revolution should be conducted, and it's something huge, and I'm not the person to do it, and perhaps it's not even in the near horizon of mankind. Again, you don't really need to understand everything in order to gain stuff from it. So, this should not worry us now. That we don't understand everything, and because we have a lot to gain, even if we don't understand like the theoretical foundations of the neurons. But some of the things that are, everything that belongs to communications, to how do we communicate with each other. It's, I haven't spoken about it a lot, but from computer science point of view, and also from like physical point of view, it's certain that you cannot answer you cannot really understand how to communicate without like a new scientific, at least a minor scientific revolution. So I cannot answer you, even theoretically I cannot answer you, because I'm not an expert on physics, and even if I were like the most celebrated physics like scientist or computer scientist in the world, probably I would not be able to answer you without like a new scientific revolution, even if a minor one, which is not something that happens every day. So some of the questions, are like out of the, they are not on the table anyway. Specifically those regarding to communication, and also probably there is the everything that belongs like relates to an energy. I do have several new like thoughts on the matter, and of course some of are backed by evidence, and I promised to speak about it, but it was before the arrest, and now I don't really, I don't have anything like to show. I don't have nothing like tangible with me. The microscope or the slides all are in my mother's apartment, and she's not right now. She doesn't really cooperate with me, lamentably. But I have some stuff to say about like energy, but it's not like it will not be. I will not be able to prove anything, because I don't have like the scientific background, and maybe it's even impossible. But even as like as an hypothesis, it's going to be interesting. So I will speak about it, but you will not be able to understand everything. So how they use energy and how they transform energy is something like very exciting, but I think that we'll be able to understand it only to a limited degree, even with the help of like the top scientists of the world, like theoretically or hypothetically, if we can get those scientists to help us, which of course we can't, because I act alone in a Nazi state. But yeah, so we'll speak about it, but and again, the communication issue is probably like way like above not only my own knowledge, but the knowledge of everyone in the currently that lives on Earth, on the planet Earth. There are other aspects of the news that that could be actually investigated without like the actual need for a new scientific revolution, and I try to actually concentrate on those matters. And this is more like the behavioral issues, like how they behave and how they communicate with me, like the scientist, and also I also have some control over them, or they control and they have control over me. As I said, it's not clear who is the puppet and who are the puppeteers, and so I have also much to say about that, and I spoke about it in the past, and I will speak about it later. Maybe tomorrow or like in the next days, because it's very important. These things are, as I said many times, it's an exercise in communication. It's like not how they communicate with each other, which is something that will not be, cannot be explained without like a breakthroughs in science, but how they communicate with me, which is also very important. And so yes, I have a lot to say about it, and of course it's very practical, like because I want them to do stuff like, or at least to do stuff in the general direction. And there's also the very important thing that, as if you remember, I conducted many experiments on the subject of living environments, and I spoke about it in the past, and it's very important, like how do we live, how can I help them live long and prosper, as they say, outside my body, and do stuff outside my body. It's a major theme in this like channel for the last month or so, and I'm sure that all my subscribers, it's not new to them. So although I have things to say about that, I can say that one thing that is pretty clear to me is that with regards, some people ask like if I translate their questions, like I hope I will translate it well or using my own language, is like what is like the motivations of the Neros? Like why do they wake up in the morning and like get outside of the bed? Like when they're outside, when they are inside my body, it's pretty clear that they have job to do, which is first of all, they are my immune system. I don't have white blood cells. First of all, they act like white blood cells, and they eliminate threats and biological shit and things like that. And so but outside of my body, it's a question like what? So now they're outside my body, like what do they? What motivates them? Like why do they wake up? Why do they open their eyes and like brush their teeth and like put on their work boots and get out and in early cold mornings in the winter? Like what's their motivation? So it's I would say that. First of all, and this is something that I've spoken about in the very first videos, if you remember, and I actually like dropped the subject, and although hinted out later, they are sexual creatures. They multiply, and I suspect very strongly that like for them, and every sex is like every sexual intercourse is a ménage à trois, as they say, and like because I think it's not been proven yet, but if I'm not mistaken, and it's got like many I've seen a lot of evidence, but I'm not entirely sure that they do the sex like in threesomes. Like always like they have like three genders, or like I don't know how to call it, like what's the correct term today? It's not gender, it's like sex maybe, but all those terms are really like loaded like terms, like in politically loaded terms, and I don't mean to like it's I don't mean to intervene in like political human political sex politics, but so I think that they have three kinds, and they do the sex in threesomes, and that's what I think, and they like it, and it's one of the things that drives them. I can't tell you what's the difference between the three genders. And I don't even know if it's politically correct to actually define the genders and to point out the differences. We know that humans are very like sensitive to this stuff, but I'm sure that there are differences, like intrinsic differences between the three sexes or three genders or whatever, three kinds, and so yeah, they are born very small, but I don't know how small. And one of the most amazing things about them, and this is something that I've spoken about a lot, is because it was demonstrated again and again, that they vary in size immensely. Like in every like level of the microscope that I can use, like the level of zoom, you can see them. So it's like the smallest. If you put the smallest that I can see, like in side by side with the largest ones, it's like putting, as I said before, it's like you put like a little like cocker spaniels besides a Godzilla, something like that. And you need to remember that it's not even. We can say. It's probably not like the real like potential difference in size, because we are limited by the microscope and by how large like I Nero's like I can show you. But who said? I don't know how small they can be. I'm almost certain that they start like their life in the nanoscopic level, not in the microscopic level. But I can prove it because I don't have an electron microscope. Of course, if I had access to an electron microscope, it would have been amazing, like really amazing, like something out of this world. But it's not an easy thing to procure. Even if they want like broke without penniless, even for like normal people, it's not an easy thing to procure, and it's not something that you can find like anywhere, even if I was not under arrest. So I mean, for a person that has no money and lives in a hostel, like for homeless people, and is under arrest and under the court order, to gain access to electron microscope is going to be like really mission impossible. But maybe if someone can like offer like a way to do it, this could have been amazing. But I'm almost certain that they start a life in an endoscopic level, and perhaps they start their life so small that even like smaller than endoscopic level, and perhaps, and it's something that we shouldn't like rule out, they start a life so small that even, I mean, it's like maybe even like it sounds ridiculous, but I mean, don't like we already know that I mean, I'm what I said that maybe they start their life not only in the endoscopic level, in actually in atomic or subatomic levels. And I know that it sounds ridiculous, but I mean, we've already seen that these creatures, like they show remarkable knowledge of the subatomic world, and so I mean, I wouldn't rule that out, even though it sounds fantastic. But yeah, it's a possibility, and we also don't know how big they can get. As I said before, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they go. I mean, maybe if I'll be able to, and I spent a lot of time, and I've something that I haven't spoken about a lot, but I've created several videos. I spent a lot of effort, and I mean to continue with like preserving them and letting them grow, because I really wish them like to see how big they can get. But I mean, you need to understand that this, I mean, like a creature like this, if it's like the size of a Nero, like a Nero candle. I mean, the one that they are named after, this candle. I mean, if it's this size, it's probably, I mean, it's probably a weapon of mass destruction. And I mean, if it's the size of a tuna can, it's probably some kind of a Death Star. I mean, and I'm not kidding. And yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, because I mean, when they are nanoscopic or microscopic, they can make wonders. So I mean, when they are as big as a tuna can, they probably can like act like and bona fide star destroyers. So it's I don't know how large they can get and how small they can get. So I guess, I mean, an educated guess will be that part of the thing that they wake up from bed and get out of bed in the morning, cold mornings in the winter, is first of all they want to to do the threesomes and multiply, and second is they want to grow, they want to be bigger. And also it was demonstrated very clearly that they like gardening. It's not really gardening, but it's more like landscaping. They like to do stuff with their environments, like to build, like I call it fortresses and temples, and maybe it's, you know, it's anthropomorphism, you know, like putting like human like concept in on non-human creatures. But I mean, they like to handle their environments and to create fences. Like it was very clear that, I mean, if you remember, like I used for a long time, I didn't have like real slides, like glass slides, standard microscopic slide glass. So I used plastics that I cut like very roughly. I cut it from covers of CD-ROMs, like all CD-ROMs, and it was almost always like, I mean, it wasn't smooth because it's mostly, you know, stuff from the 90s or so that I found in my mother's apartment. So there were always like in the microscope there were all those like little sketches, and in the microscope it looks like huge tunnels. So like many times you've seen that they like respect the tunnels. They build their own fences on parallel to the tunnels, and they create like all sorts of like what seemed to me like structures, or more like landscaping. So it's something that they like to do. I mean, it was demonstrated. So maybe it's also part of like I mean, why they do. I mean, why one of the motivations. I mean, besides like, I mean, when they don't have like more specific orders, or like, I mean, general like work agenda that I give them, and so they don't need me to work. They like to do things like by themselves, especially in the realm of like what I call gardening or landscaping of their environment, or however they can. Okay, so that will be all for now. And these are all. I mean, some of the questions that I raised now, I can actually we don't need to be pessimistic. I can think that I can, with more research, I can actually give you better answers and actually to show you stuff and like to back my hypothesis there with evidence. But I need to continue to work on it, and I can't do it right now because currently I have nothing, even not the basic microscope and the slides, and like my mother and I are not really communicating right now. So I hope she will be, in the near future, she will do the effort to actually bring it to me here to the hostel where I'm under arrest, like at least the microscope and the slides, the covers and basics, like electronic stuff that I need. So I will be able to continue my research in the field of the nature of the neurons. There are a lot of things that I can actually create experiments and disprove or prove theories. So there is no reason to be pessimistic about it. Again, we don't need to understand like the particle physics that is behind everything, and probably something that I will never. I don't know if never say never, but I must definitely. I'm not a person to actually like to generate the new scientific revolution which is needed in order to really understand the answers to those questions. But I can give you answers to more like behavioral issues and communication issues, that are also very important. But as I said several times today and yesterday, I need, like, for my own good to postpone too much, like, concentration on new, like, as I say, R&D projects, and for now concentrate on sales and marketing and things like that are not, like, it's not my cup of tea, but I have to do it because, I need money, and that's, like, what I will try to concentrate on the next couple of days. Okay, bye for now.